Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faith Acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is from Delizie Di Calabria, it is the Calabrian Bomba pasta sauce. So Calabrian chili and mixed vegetables. So I did a video from the same company for a product called Bomba di Amore, and I happen to be looking around to see if there's other stuff, and they've since renamed that product. But I saw they had other stuff for World Market that I was interested in. This was the only one of those things I could find. It's supposed to be a spicy pasta sauce. Here you can see. Do you see? Do you see it now? I haven't been able to find anything of theirs that's extra hot. I don't know if that exists. So refrigerator after opening and consume within 3 days. Well. We got a little treat today. We'll get to that. So we have essentially Calabrian. Well, you can see there's artichokes, there's porcini mushrooms, there's eggplant, Calabrian chili. A lot of the same stuff that's in the Bomba di Amore. And this has other stuff like oregano and tomato, of course. So I am a little excited about this. When I saw this, you know, I've been, if you watch this for any length of time, you know I've been thinking, I've been kicking it around a little to do a little bit of cooking on this here channel right here, on this FOH video series right here. And so I thought, you know, I've been having it in my mind for a while to make something. And we'll get to that. First, I'm going to struggle with the lid. All right, let's take a little look-see at this. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's pretty red glory. And here, we'll just... I want to make stuff with this. I don't want to eat it just out of the jar like this. We're going to have us a little sample. Let's get a little more. What I like about this is it seems like there's actual chunks of tomato in here. So you can see it's really nice looking, very vibrant red. And we might as well just get into it. It's about what you would expect for a spicy tomato pasta sauce. It is very good though. What's interesting about this is that it doesn't seem like it goes in any one direction or another. It doesn't seem like it's a thing where you like, oh, that's only meant for this. Oh, it's only meant for that, which is good. Definitely, I think this would be excellent on something like spaghetti, like an angel hair. I like angel hair. I could see it working well as a sauce for manicotti, or manicotti if you prefer. It very tasting, very lovely, very lively too. I will say it's a very bright sauce. So what are we going to make? Well, we've got these things here. We got this dish. I'm just going to go through it here. I've been meaning to do more cooking videos on this FOH series. Now that I've got a little bit more gear, I've got different software and so on from some of the previous years. It's something I've always wanted to do, but it is not it hasn't always been super convenient, and now I'm kind of making it a point. But also, I would have to make an arrabbiata or something along those lines. Most of the arrabbiatas that I've seen tend to have onions in them, and that's no good. So I wind up having to make sauce 90% of the time, which I would normally do for this dish as well. However, I want to see how she rolls. So what I've got here is some boxes of oven ready lasagna. So I just buy the regular lasagna most of the time. It is out at the store, so that's why I got this oven ready. I don't ever pre-cook my noodles. I don't feel like there's a point. By the time my lasagna is done, it's been sitting in the oven for an hour with liquidy stuff. We'll get into the other ingredients in a second. So for me, I make my lasagna sauce. I tend to use tomatoes and tomato paste, and it's really thick and dense and rich, and it's not as vibrant and lively as this for sure, but it tends to have a lot more depth of flavor. And I haven't usually added heat to it, but now that we've got these fun little products here, to me it's like, well, you're damn right I'm gonna do that. So I didn't know how much was in one of these boxes, so I got a couple of them. That's the lasagna. Here's a lasagna pan. We've got mozzarella for the topping. We've got sort of a secret ingredient here. We've got fresh mozz. So a lot of people use ricotta, which is fine. You can use that if you want. I don't always put any cheese actually in there. Usually it's just the sauce and the pasta itself. But I thought, this is really where fresh mozzarella would really shine as far as I'm concerned. So, but I am going to do something a little different. I'm not sure if this is going to be enough sauce for this pan. I think it to be kind of close, but I am going to do a layer with this. What I was mentioning, the Bomba di Amore. And it's called a hot pepper sauce. There is a separate video just for this by itself in the hot sauce playlist. It's not a hot sauce. It's marinated vegetables in oil. But I thought when I was doing that video, this would have been super interesting in something like this. So I got another jar of that. And of course, so some people will use hot Italian sausage, which is fine. Sometimes I do also. Most of the time I don't. Most of the time I just use hamburger. And I'm using that because I really want this to be the main flavor drivers. So I also got some more additional mushrooms because you can never really have enough in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just take you through everything. We're going to assemble it. We're going to cook it. We're going to make the sauce. We're going to do the whole kit and caboodle. And just make this up. So why don't you meet me over at the stove? Okay, so here we are over at the stove. Now what I usually do is I will turn this on to about medium heat. Wherever medium heat is on your stove, I turn this burner, these are, you can see, electrics. So I turn this up to 5. And we really don't need to do a whole lot of cooking here. Mostly what we're doing is we're trying to render out some of that fat, because if we get a whole bunch of fat, you get a greasy lasagna. And we're already adding this, right? The Bomba di Amore. And you can see I got something on the old burner. Okay. Now I don't always put oil. Sometimes I put oil in there. Most of the time I don't. I'm going to put some of this Bomba di Amore oil in there. And I'm using the back of the spoon to spread it. I'm not scratching my nonstick pan. Have no fear. Lasagna is one of those things I made I made a lot. Alright, so we're going to drain off the rest of this. And we'll get to that section when we're ready to start assembly. So what I do is I just throw that in there. So seasonings wise, we go salt, we go pepper, we go garlic powder. That's it. And so most of the time when I'm making hamburger recipes, this is all I ever use. So just a light dusting. You can put more salt on there if you want. I like a light dusting. Cracked black pepper. I like a little more of that. And the garlic powder. Garlic powder, here's all I do. Start at one end, dust it all the way to the other, that's it. Then we get our spatula, and all we're doing is just pushing down, just trying to shave this. I don't want chunks in here. And then I'll just go crossways usually. All we want is to really just get the pink out. And that will render down. I added a little bit of extra fat like you saw, but I think this is 85-15. It might be 80-20, I don't remember. I think it's 85-15. If you're using 85-15 or 90-10, you can worry about that less. Okay, so all we're going to do from this point is to just let that cook down. And I'll show you what it looks like when we get there. In the meantime, we're not just going to sit and wait though. We're going to be prepping the other ingredients as well during this time. Okay, as you can see, it is very nicely brown, but we still have a lot of fat in there. So we are just going to keep going until all of that is gone. You can drain it if you want to. We're going to see if we can get a little bit of font out of it. See how that goes. So we're going to let it go till we get some of that grease cooked out of it. And then we'll come back and start assembling the rest of the sauce. Okay, so one of the ways you can tell, you hear that? We're getting a little bit of a font buildup here. So we're probably another minute or two away, give or take, from starting to add the other stuff. Okay, let's see what we do. This smells so good. Got a little bit of oil we added in there. Just gonna throw it around my stove, I guess. So I feel like it needs another minute or two, so we're gonna let it do that. I think most chefs, most cooks will tell you, there we go. There we go. Have to scrape a little bit. Some nice caramelized bits. But a lot of chefs, a lot of cooks will tell you that cooking is all about feel. Baking is a science. Cooking is an art. So, next thing is we're going to add in our mushrooms. I use at least one of these larger cans, and we're going to throw in the sauce. We're going to reduce the heat. So I was at a 5 and going down to a 4. Alright, we want every little bit of this out of there that we can get. So threw a little water in there, rinsed out the sides. Now we're going to need to, usually when I make this type of sauce, this simmers for 3 or 4 hours. But that's because I'm making it raw, right? Well, not raw, but from scratch. With unflavored tomatoes and unflavored tomato paste and unflavored everything, right? In this case, we're not really doing that. We're starting with something that's already prepared. And I do want these to mesh a little bit. This consistency is about what I want, very close. So I turned the heat down. We don't want this to go above a simmer. If you are going to make this for a few hours, do not run it above a simmer. And this will give us our sauce base. Now, so what I'm going to do here, in the interest of time, is I'm going to turn on the oven. I'm going to start that preheating, and then we'll come back and we'll start assembling the lasagna. Okay, and as you can probably see, there's these little pockets like this of sauce that are bubbling. That's what you want. And then you're just going to give it a little stir. This is good to go. As soon as the oven is ready, we're going to take this off the heat and we are going to start assembly. Okay, we are good to go. Now, one thing that is slightly concerning me about this is there is oil in that pasta sauce, and I'm a bit concerned that this I would normally have let this cook a little bit longer, but I'm a little bit concerned that I might not have let it cook long enough. So this is how I do my lasagna sauces. They tend to be very chunky, and we're just going to throw some on the bottom here, spread it around. Yeah, maybe a little more in there. Okay. And then we're going to layer it up. So we got so one of the things I noticed with these that they're much thinner than normal. So I can do it like this. I am slightly concerned with that. And it looks like we can do reasonably 3 at a shot. The thinness of these, I'm a little nervous about this. These might be a bit too thin, but we'll see. That's why I got 2 packs. I was afraid. That's what happens a lot of times. That's why I like the thicker ones, so I can have a nice good amount. You can see with my thickness of sauce here that, and I don't really want, actually let's try this. The bottom I think will only do, can we do 4? Yeah, we can do 4. Alright, we're going to do 4 this time. And so for the cheese layer, we're just going to do this nice fresh mozz. And it looks like we have that about as good as that's going to get, I think. Alright, we're just going to do that by itself. A layer of fresh mozz just right in the middle there. These don't go all the way to the edge. This is one of the things I don't like about this, but that's all right. The first time using these noodles, usually I get the birria, just regular ones. I don't ever pre-cook them. Like I said, I just get the regular birrias. Then we're gonna have a lot of areas here that are just gonna be nothing but this sauce, right, kind of over here at the edge. I want to try to fill that a little bit. Normally, this would be the last layer, and then I'd be putting cheese on here. But we're gonna get a little fancy. We're gonna do something a little different. That's normally what I do, and I made lasagna. Well, I like lasagna, so I make it a lot. Usually I make 1 or 2, sometimes more, every winter, so we're just going to smooth it flat. All right. Now, I wonder if we can... All right, so we're going to have to break these a little bit. Or are we? Maybe not. Yeah, we're going to have to break a couple of them. So this one we do want everything completely covered. Get those pieces there. That's about as good as this is going to get. All right, so last but not least, we have this, which is that Bomba di Amore. Some people will, sometimes I'll put black olives, usually on top. So we're going to go with a, oh boy, this smells, this is so good. So we're going to just do this. Just going to be a nice thin layer hanging out here under the cheese. I almost considered doubling up the pasta, but I was afraid it wouldn't cook like that. I'm not sure. I've never used this kind before. So usually I don't like these. The reason I don't pre-cook my lasagna noodles is I like them to have some heft. And in the case of these thinner ones, I'm not sure that's going to be there. Okay, so there we go. There's that. Okay, and I have got a ton of lasagna left, enough to make a good 2 or 3 more for sure. But last but not least, we need the piece de resistance, which is some nice shredded mozz. Whoa. Some people will use shredded mozz actually inside of the lasagna. You can. I don't, for the simple reason that I find it gets too salty when I do that. So I'm just going to throw in one of these, just a pound. It's a pound of mozz. Don't be shy. Don't be shy to pull some out and sample it even. Alright, so you can see we want this to be as perfectly even and uniform as possible. No cheese hanging over the sides. We're below, you can see we're below the lip of this. Although, honestly, baking this will tend to compress it a little bit. It's one of the reasons that we don't keep a lot of liquid in there. If we did keep a lot of liquid in there, what would happen is that we would see it perhaps bubble over, and then you have a mess in the fridge to clean. Okay, so last step, we get our foil. So what I like to do is put a little bit on the end that's gone in the oven and a lot more at the edge where I'm going to lift it off. Basically, we're going to do 30 minutes with the foil on and then 30 minutes with it off, and then we will reconvene back at the table to see just what we have. Okay, and as we can see here, it is done. Done and done and done and done and done. We got a little bit of the old mired effect on the edges. You can see nothing has gone past the top of this pan. I like, some people let this go longer. I like just a little tiny bit. You can see there's a little bit of the mired effect here and here. I don't like it to be completely darkened, but this one, so initially I said to put it in for half an hour with the foil, half an hour without. What I actually did was about 20 minutes without to get this. So, and you could do, it's cooked by then, so you can do, everything is cooked except for the noodles, right? So you can reasonably do, 15 minutes without the foil if you want. It then rested. I let it rest for about 15, 20 minutes, give or take. Generally, anything you take out of the oven, it's a good idea to let it rest. Not in every single case, but generally. I did not grease this. I think I'm going to have, sometimes cheese will stick a little bit to the sides here, but that's fine. Where's my pot holder? Because this is glass, this is still like crazy hot too. I could do like Future Canoe and take one out of the center, but I don't want just the center piece of this. I want to get some of these, you hear those edges, those nice crispy edges. Take a cross section here. Oops. There we go. Here's a nice cross section of what it looks like. It's a touch oily. There's no, I didn't really have anything. That's why we waited, right? Because we don't want a whole bunch of stuff flowing down into the bottom here. Okay. We'll leave this on here for now. And we'll get this out of the way. All right, let's see how the noodles did. Yeah, this is unfortunately fairly oily. Hot. It is still quite warm from a temperature perspective. The noodles are firmer than I thought they would be. I was a bit worried about that. What's interesting is I can taste the spaghetti sauce, but that Bomba di Amore, that definitely is really shining through. I used about a pound of hamburger. I was wondering if that was going to be too much. It might have been better with less, maybe closer to half a pound. I really like what our fresh mozz layer is doing here too. Oh, it's so good. So, I wouldn't put this as the best lasagna I've ever had. Certainly one of the more unique ones, though. It's what I would say is more of a nice change of pace lasagna. There is definitely a degree of spiciness to this, but only in the context of comparing it to like a regular lasagna. It's a nice little charge. I quite like this. Let's try just the... Let's skip it without the... So what's kind of neat is that fresh mozz that's in there is giving me sort of ravioli vibes. This is very nice. I think I actually would have preferred it without the Bomba di Amore, just to get a better representation, but this is, it reminds me of every time I've tried to make lasagna without using tomato paste. You just lose some of that depth and tomato richness in there. Yeah, this would have been better, I think. So, I don't know about you, but every time I make something, I always start thinking about adjustments. Certainly, I like that very much. But I think I would make a few adjustments. The first of those is to not use probably the Bomba di Amore again in that. You can make some really good bruschetta with it. Some things are very good about that lasagna. Some things are very good. But that'd be the first thing I would do is cut that out. The second thing would be to probably, you know, maybe I'm just going to have just a little bit more. The second part would be, so that I really like what happened with the cheese here. The second thing, though, would be to cut down the hamburger. A pound, I think, it's just a bit too much. Hey, don't do that. It's just a bit too much. See, it comes out in these nice compartmentalized squares. When you go relatively low liquid and you let it rest. So I really like what's going on with the cheese. And absolutely, use fresh mozz. You can use ricotta if you like as well. Don't use cottage cheese though. And a few reasons for that. First, I don't think the texture works. But secondly, cottage cheese tends to be fairly salty, and that with the cheese on top, pasteurized, the shredded mozzarella tends to be salty on its own. you can very quickly get to the point of too much. I do like this. It is excellent because, like I said, the cheese, you have that fresh mozz with the pasta, giving kind of a ravioli thing. The cheese on top is, I'm glad I stopped him when I did. So I think part of me wonders if the problem I was worried about might not have been what happened here, in that I was a bit nervous about the thinness of these noodles, and I think that actually, so if you're going to use a pound of hamburger, I think that's fine, but I would use the regular noodles, not these thin oven-ready things. Flavor-wise, they're fine. They cook fine as well. But the ratio of pasta to hamburger is a bit off, and I think that's it. Man, this is so decadent. It's a touch. One of the kind of the problems with the Bomba is that it's a touch oily. I drained most of the oil from the vegetables. If you watch the video, I put them in paper towels to kind of soak up that. I did the same thing. You can see, there's still plenty of oil left over. That I don't like as much. Flavor-wise is very good though. This, I don't know that it works as well in the lasagna as I was hoping. I'm just going to be honest, I think this works a lot better to cook noodles and pour this over the top as a sauce. So manicotti, spaghetti, or ravioli sauce would be excellent with this, or tortellini. Any of those things I think is going to be pretty good. Lasagna isn't by no means bad. I'll have no problem whacking through that tray. But I do like the slight little bit of spice there. But I think the sauce is just going to be a lot better if you use it as, like I said, a spaghetti sauce or something like that. Lasagna sauce is really, I think, in some respects anyway, kind of its own thing. So, but yeah, it was a really fun experiment. I'm definitely happy with how it came out. That is delicious, no question about that. But I guess the blessing and the curse for me is that even if something is really good, I'm always trying to see if I can find a way to make it better. You know, and sometimes that can be pretty exhausting. But in any case, this is, I want to say it was like $6 or $7 at World Market, and definitely worth the price. This is one of my favorite jarred pasta sauces, period. The flavor of this is excellent. It's very bright. It's very vibrant. Definitely, if you like a little bit of, if regular sauces are a little bit too plain, you're constantly shaking in, dried pizza peppers, or you're looking for a way to spice up Italian, this is definitely worth a go. And it's from Italy as well, so you do have that where it's an actual import, but it's very nice. I like this quite a bit. I would very happily get this again, and I probably will actually the next time I go to World Market. They've been pushing themselves a bit more towards the whole sort of spicier side of things. A lot of different spicy products are on their shelves now. So I find myself there a little bit more than I used to, for sure. And definitely, I would happily pick up another jar of this, like I said, and I certainly plan to. And I think they also have some other entries as well. If any of them even seem like they remotely could fit into the FOH series. I'll bring those to you as well. But I really wanted to do a video where I did a little cooking. The cooking videos, this particular one is, let's see, as of now, it's right around 3 hours of filming to get to this point. So there's more setup. They take longer to film, they take longer to edit, but it's a lot of fun to do all this. So hopefully you guys dig it. But we're going to leave it right there. That is the Delizie Di Calabria Calabrian Bomba pasta sauce. Number 4. In peace, to serve the flame.